Well, I mean, it was really big for our team. So I guess from that standpoint, you could say we needed it. But uh, like any other game, you do your best to win, and afterwards you look at what you did well, you look at what you need to do better, and then you try to go 1-0 in the next game. So, but the thing about sports is, in particular team sports, is sometimes winning and losing really factors into how certain people on the team or even on the coaching staff feel about the process and feel about each other. And that's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just human nature.
It probably hasn't been as consistent as you'd like, but it seems over the last few weeks like you can really see the progress. Is that fair?
Well, I think you definitely can see a lot of progress when you look at individual guys. I think you can see a lot of progress when you look at stretches of play where you say, hey, those guys are really playing together, or they're executing better, or defending better. We have to continue to be more consistent as a team. But, I mean, if you look at Shaq, the way that he's played really in Big 12 play, if you look at Jarrett, he's been terrific. Andrew's taken a big jump over the last 4 or 5 games. Eric seems to be, moving forward and getting more confident out there. Now what we need to do is just put stretches of good play together and have more guys play well at the same time. That's really what we had last night. I mean, we had, more guys step up, and we were able to play better.
Is that because of what you talked about earlier this year in the sense of playing more for each other? You talked so much about that. Do you think that's kind of finally clicking with them and how you do that?
I think so. We got a long way to go with that. But, obviously on our team, we had an injury with Kendall. Tevin's not playing. So whenever you're down some guys or you have less guys, there needs to be a sense of everyone has to do a little bit more, and we have to depend on each other more. The challenging thing when you're 18, 19 years old is understanding how much you need the people around you. That's a lesson that sometimes takes a little while to learn, and it's different for each guy. But I think our guys have learned that certainly more than they understood in November.
Do you think that the way the game finished, it finally drives home the point to them that, a 5-point deficit is nothing, a 10-point deficit is nothing, which has been an issue before.
Yeah.
Just keep playing.
We talked about that in the locker room, Brian, and I think, one of the challenges is, can you make sure that guys learn that lesson and then are able to embody it when it matters? I think with young players, there's a certain level at which they understand things cognitively. Yes, you're right. You're never out of the game. The game's never over. But then there's a deeper level down deep inside of like, okay, now I can go carry that over with my teammates and all of us feeling that way at the same time.
Jacob's been in the starting lineup for the past couple of games, but his shot hasn't been there. It seemed like Eric went through the same thing earlier in the season. Is the same thing happening with Jacob right now?
Yeah, I think he really, really wants to play well, and I think he's pressing a little bit, and he's a good player and a good shooter, and he's a guy that will make a lot of shots. We want him to focus on all the things that he can control, being ready to shoot, shooting it with discipline, continuing to get a ton of reps outside of practice, outside of games, which he does. He's a really good worker. And then being the best teammate and the best defensive player he can be. One of the challenges when you really hang your hat on your shooting, which is, what he does, what Eric does, and if the ball is not going in, then, you don't feel so good about about how things are going. So we want to keep working with him on putting himself in the best position to make those shots when he gets them, because he is a good shooter.
What do you think's clicked with Andrew? He said last night his December he dedicated to just getting in the gym and just working. It seems like since then he's been a different player. Is it as simple as confidence, or what do you think's really kind of unlocked his game a little bit?
I think he is playing more with a clear mind. I think he's really come a long way in terms of learning when to make a certain play and when to, create for a teammate. He's still learning that, but I think he's come a long way in that. I think he was really confused at times early in the year because, let's face it, playing here with a group of other, guys that were recruited maybe at a similar level, it's different than high school, where it's on you literally every single time down the floor to make the play and finish the play and kind of be the guy. But he's been terrific, and his efficiency of late has been great. Scott printed me out the stats for our last 4 games, and we call it the Buddy Hield number, field goal percentage plus 3-point percentage plus free throw percentage is 180, that's kind of the gold standard, which is awesome for a freshman to be at that type of level. So hopefully he can continue attacking, but also stay really efficient and continue to raise his assist-to-turnover ratio.
How impressed have you been with Shaka and just how he's progressed and improved throughout the season?
Shaq's been our most consistent person this year, most consistent teammate. He's been by far our most unselfish player on our team. He's been a guy that has sacrificed at times, and his attitude has always been great. I think what you see now is some work that he put in the offseason on his body and on his conditioning is really paying off. I don't think last year he would have been able to play 31 minutes in an intense game like last night and be able to be so productive. I think he would have gotten tired, but he didn't look very tired last night. He was playing and attacking and played 31 minutes. So he's really made progress and improved. He said the other day, and remember now, he's in his 10th semester of college, so he's kind of on the other end of the spectrum from some of our other guys. But he said he was talking to some of our younger players, and he said, this is the first year that I'm actually in college. And what he meant was understanding what really goes into being a high-level, successful college basketball player.
When you lost what you lost last year, how important was Shaq to take over as a leader for this team?
It's important, and we want him to speak up even more, just because he knows a lot more than those guys. They don't know what they don't know, and he's not the most outgoing, talkative guy around people, but when he does speak up, it carries a lot of weight. So I've just tried to encourage him. You're never going to regret speaking up and saying something. You'll regret not saying it.
How much is he? You talk about all you guys and their confidence. His confidence, his consistency, and his shot, and his little baby hook. How much of that just got him going?
Yeah, he's worked on it a lot, and his confidence has really grown there. Shaq is hard on himself. And you've probably seen it in some of our games where he'll shoot a jump hook and it'll hit the front of the rim, and you can kind of see him grimace. Because he knows that's a shot he can make, but he's really spent a lot of time working on it. Darren Horn has done a terrific job with our bigs. He did last year, first with the group with Cam playing, and then without Cam when Cam went down. We had a lot of transition at that position. He's done a nice job with those guys. But that's a good point. His confidence has really grown. And I think he's playing more with more of an approach goal of I'm going to go after it, and less of an avoidance of I don't want to mess up, I don't want to make a mistake. Now, it's easier to do that, I know, when you have a longer leash. There's an old saying in coaching that players, their mentality is play me and I'll show you. And coaches' mentality, coaches look at it, they say show me and I'll play you. So the good thing for Shaq now, he's kind of earned a place on the team where he's going to get a lot of opportunity.
Shaka, you've talked before about Jarrett's unique recruitment.
Yep.
What do you think allowed you to connect with him, first of all, to get him here, and then how has your relationship grown, and have you developed an understanding of how to get the most out of him?
Well, I think it starts with just treating him like a whole person, because he has a whole lot more about him than just shooting the ball or rebounding the ball. And he really values when you treat him as a person and you sit down and have a conversation with him. One thing about Jared is he's never really in a hurry. So, you know, when we have a team meal or we're in a facility and we get done with practice, he doesn't mind just kind of sitting around and talking. And on the road, a lot of times there'll be maybe 3 or 4 of us sitting at a table, and we'll have philosophical conversations about different things that come up. And sometimes it has to do with basketball and sometimes it doesn't. So I think one thing that hopefully he appreciates is we've tried to approach his growth and his development in a holistic manner. And we know that if he's having fun and if he's in a place where he feels comfortable, that's when he's going to be the most successful. He had the best GPA on our team in the fall semester. He is, by all accounts, enjoying the challenge of school and the opportunity to learn. You know, our academic advisor always puts our guys in one too many classes so they can kind of choose which one to drop. And Jarrett was having a hard time deciding which one to drop because he liked the classes he was in. And he's just a unique kid. I really believe he benefits from his own personality in that he doesn't get too caught up in all the stuff that anyone else is saying or people trying to pull him out of the present moment. He's really focused on what's going on now, and that's really allowed him to grow and make progress.
Are you and him a good fit personality-wise?
I think so. I mean, you have to ask him that, but I get a real kick out of being around the guy. I mean, he's just a unique kid. We had a TV show a little while ago, and I was telling Lowell, I can count on one hand the number of times that a player has apologized to me for a basketball play ever since I've been in coaching. And Jarrett comes up to me during the game. Last night he came up to me and said, "Sorry, I missed that shot, Coach." I said, "You're good, Jarrett. You're going to make the next one." So he's just a unique guy, and I truly believe, again, his mindset is one of, I want to grow, I want to get better. He doesn't get too caught up in, anyone else's perceptions of him, and that allows him to be much, much less weighted down than maybe other guys of that age and that talent.
Shaka, his growth, it seems like he's really taking to heart the idea of playing hard.
Max efforts, yeah.
How much improvement have you seen from him there just over these last couple of weeks?
Well, and it's going to be interesting to watch over the next several weeks because I was talking to his high school coach this morning, and this kind of reminded me they're getting ready to start conference tournament play in the next week or two. So just the difference between a college season and a high school season. But that has been a major area of growth for him. Even, when you compare it to the 5 games that we played with the 18 and under team, he's more of a man now. I mean, he goes so much harder, the way that he's going after rebounds. But what happens is you get tired more. I think I was watching him closely last night, and I thought he got tired even maybe 2 minutes into the game, and then a couple different times in the game he was getting fatigued, and I try to get him breaks when I can. But the reason is because he's playing so hard. That's why he's getting tired more. I told him after the game, I said, you just played 2 games in 3 nights, in 3 days, where you played harder than you've ever played in your life. So the way your body probably feels, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's you still are a human being, and I think it's very important for us as coaches and for our players to pay attention to their bodies and to take as best care as we can, whether it's treatment or rest or all that kind of stuff, because you've got to have something in the tank in order to go hard.
You mentioned Jarrett apologized for not making a shot. You guys can be as prepared as you can possibly be, but eventually it comes down to shots going in. 2 big ones go
That's why we won. Yeah.
2 free throws don't go in for them. Is that kind of
3.
the helpless feeling of a coach when?
Yeah, we talked about this last night in the post game. It's the NBA guys always say it's a make or miss game, and we've had our share of games where we missed some good shots down the stretch, and the other team made some, and we lost by 3 or lost by a relatively close game. And last night was starting to feel that way. I think everyone in the arena could kind of feel it, and Eric gets an open 3 and misses it, and then. We have a turnover where we felt like we should have gotten an easy basket. But, down the stretch in the last 30 seconds, the ball went in for us and it didn't for them, and that ends up being the difference in close games.
Is there any update on Tevin?
No, nothing changed.
I asked this in a very respectful way. Are y'all better off without him right now?
Good question. I think it's my job as a head coach to always do the right thing for our program and then also for the guys within our program. And so I think the guys that we have out there playing, that's who we need to have in the game. Tevin is a very talented player. He's got a lot going for him. But right now, the guys that are wearing a Texas uniform are the guys that need to be wearing a Texas uniform.
In these past close games, it seems like Kerwin ends up with the ball a lot, and it kind of seems like he starts pressing.
Mm-hmm.
He starts trying a little bit too hard, kind of tries to channel Isaiah Taylor sometimes. Is that
Yeah.
something you notice with him?
He's still learning what the best version of him is. And I think you're exactly right. A lot of these guys tend to put pressure on themselves. We really try to take that pressure off as much as possible, but Snoop really, you can see it, he wears it on his face, when a play doesn't go his way or a couple free throws didn't go down, and he was really upset about that. I did think that he tried to hang in there and continue to defend and help our team. He just needs to continue to learn what will go into him being the best version of him. I think we all understand these guys have long-term goals. They have stuff that they want to do beyond, playing here. And those things, let's be honest, those things sometimes can factor in. But the reality is you put that uniform on, it says Texas on it, and the best chance we have to be successful is everyone doing exactly what we need to do to help Texas win. That tends to reflect well on the individual guys, particularly guys like Snoop that have the ball in their hands and are playing a lot. I think the Oklahoma State game, he took 3 shots. That was a great example of him playing within himself and attacking, creating for other guys, playing big-time defense. And anyone that watched that game said, hey, that guy can really play. So not that we want to limit him in terms of number of shots or anything like that, but I think learning from games like that, that's how he's going to be successful.
Just going back to Jarrett, do you feel like his attitude and sort of his self-awareness and his steadiness sort of rubs off on the rest of the team?
I think he's starting to rub off more. I don't think it did much early on, but I think he's starting to rub off more. Him and James are around each other a lot. I think they both rub off on each other in a positive way. James brings a lot of energy, and I think he's affected Jarrett. Jarrett has a certain approach that's really in a good way affected James as well. But when you have a young group of guys that they first need to get comfortable in their own skin, and then they can kind of broaden their awareness and see, okay, how can I learn from these guys around me?
Would he, the way you say he's enjoying the conversations in school and all that kind of stuff, would that affect his decision a lot if it comes to it at the end of this year?
I don't know. I mean, I think with Jarrett, again, he's so good at being in the moment. I don't think he's really worrying about that at this point. And I think when the time comes to figure that kind of stuff out, he's got, a good group of people around him that can help him with that. But, like anyone else, I think he wants to become the best version of him. And I think he feels good right now that he's moving in that direction.
Given the way this team has responded, it's a difficult
kind of mental approach there. How interested are you to see how they respond to an extreme high going on the road Saturday?
Yeah, I think overall our team has to get better at not getting too high or getting too low. It's especially our young guys. It's really our young guys. It's not really Shaq and Kendall. We had a really good win last night, a much-needed win. I'm glad that we have some days to prepare and a day for our guys to really get some rest today, then 3 days to practice the rest of the week. Georgia's got a really good team, so it's an opportunity. We're just viewing it as an opportunity, and hopefully we can build on some of the good things that we did.
Would you rather this game be a non-conference, outside of conference play, or do you like something like this to kind of chop up? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter. We just take the schedule they give us. I mean, we basically have 19 conference games, or 19 games during the conference season, because this game is mandated by the league. I'm a proponent of somewhere in there in the conference schedule there being a bye week, because I do think, again, these guys are human beings, and I do think physically, because this league is every game is so physical and so hard on bodies, that guys do tend to get worn down. And we'll watch again in March, and we'll see how different teams are affected. But I think some of the teams that play so extremely hard can maybe wear themselves down. But obviously Saturday will be it's a unique opportunity to see our league against the SEC and the different matchups and see how teams do. So we're excited about it.
But that's the thing, though. This is a TV-created gimmick, essentially, and it does take up the bye hole in the schedule. Tim Allen crowed about that, how, all the games are on one day. Across the league, are y'all, as coaches, like, whatever it is what it is, or can y'all push back on this?
It's not up to us. I think different coaches maybe feel differently about it. And look, I think depending on where you are in your season and where you are with your team, it can create some tremendous opportunities. I think Kansas is going to Kentucky. It's about as big time of a game as you can get in college basketball. So it is. But I mean, let's be honest. I think the vast majority of the changes, scheduling wise, over the last dozen years have been about that, and I think we know why. It's just, I think it's important for us to remember everything that we can do to honor and maintain the integrity of the experience that these guys are having, again, within the framework of the broader perspective is really important.
Last one. This season has been a unique challenge for you personally.
Yes.
With the youth and everything. Do you find yourself in the Big 12 grind focusing on much different things with your guys than you would be with different groups? Like, are you more hands-on in any areas, either with
Yep.
personality stuff or schematic stuff?
Spend more time with guys than I ever have. I mean, I've always tried to pride myself in spending time around the guys. I've tried to really encourage our staff to do the same thing. But, I mean, take yesterday, for instance. I had 2 meetings, one up here, one in our office here, and then one downstairs with one of our guys. I had another, 30, 40-minute film session with Andrew Jones. I work out Dylan on every game day. James and I were together for 45 minutes. We had a long conversation with his mom on the phone, and just trying to breathe life into these guys and help them understand. What's been helpful for me is I got this advice from Ryan Holiday, focusing on the very, very short term, so like today and what we need to do to get better, and then also the very, very long term, which is where we want to ultimately go as a program and with these guys individually, where we want to help them, what we want to help them become.